Hello everyone, and welcome to the Speculative Wildlife Research Center. We are beginning this new year taking a look at Transformers. Yes, this very popular request is finally coming to the channel, courtesy of Andrew P., who commissioned this episode on our Patreon. In case you are not familiar with them, Transformers are alien robots capable of changing form to disguise themselves as a variety of vehicles, weapons, or other things. And that alone is such a cool thing, it will be really fun to bring this concept to life. Transformers are also famous for liking and subscribing, so maybe do that as well if you want to be cool too. And now, without further ado, let's get started. When searching the vast expanses of space, our research center has begun finding more and more life in the seemingly empty void. Sometimes, what we find can seem hard to identify as an organism, much more closely resembling the machines humanity has created. And yet, today's research subjects, despite their mechanical appearance, are biological in nature. While modern religious beliefs hold that their planet itself is a colossal organism, a divine being named Primus who made them, these organisms evolved naturally from metallic particles, not unlike the beings of Sidus, which we've studied in our files before. Furthermore, while seemingly being large-bodied organisms, these beings, like many from their planet, are actually composed of a huge amount of tiny pieces, individual organisms known as zooids, making each member of this species a colonial organism, similar to siphonophores in our world. Each of these zooids is capable of sensing its environment, feeding on metal particles to grow and repair themselves, and reproducing on its own. But the formation of large colonies improved the survival rates of the zooids, especially in their ancestral days, when a clade of large predators, known as quintessons, ruled the planet of Cybertron. However, their over-specialization left them incapable of adapting to the quickly changing environmental conditions, and as they began decreasing in numbers and diversity, these colonial organisms were able to outcompete them. As they began diversifying, this clade evolved into many different types of organisms, including the sapient beings we are studying today, most commonly known as Cybertronians, or as Transformers, due to biological abilities we will be seeing in a moment. As competition increased, both among Transformer ancestors and with other species, some zooids joined into complexes, specialized structures destined to specific functions, such as movement, manipulation, feeding or sensing, which improved the general fitness of the colonies they formed by allowing them to survive and adapt to the world around them. Some of the most basic of these adaptations include the formation of protective structures and weaponry. Shields and armor were easy enough to achieve, thanks to structural zooids forming large, mostly empty shells that afforded protection without adding too much weight, also creating crumple zones similar to those of human vehicles. Weaponry, on the other hand, can be much more varied, including sharp structures that help cause localized damage, bludgeoning weapons that can easily dismantle armor, and even impressive, highly refined complexes capable of working like a railgun, shooting out either energy or physical materials from a distance. In modern times, of course, the Cybertronians are perfectly capable of creating weapons of their own by artificial means, not unlike the swords and guns of our world. These have the advantage of not depleting the energy of a Cybertronian, nor risking the integrity of their zooids in the case of melee weapons. Their most defining defense mechanism, however, is their ability to camouflage, which will see the Cybertronian zooids rearrange themselves in order to take on a different form. This mechanism is aided by the presence of chromatophore-like zooids on the surface of their external layer, allowing the Transformer's shell to change color, texture, or even shape to a limited degree in response to directed energy flow, thus disguising the Cybertronian as natural part of their environment or even as other organisms. While believed to have originally evolved as a way to help Cybertronians hide from larger predators, this camouflage, or transformation, which lends Transformers their modern name, has become a way for them to move faster, gain greater firepower or offensive capabilities, or protect themselves, while still keeping their camouflage function, although at the expense of their finer motor skills. The fact that the body of a Cybertronian is composed of a huge amount of tiny organisms meant that, as size and complexity increased, the need for more centralized coordination emerged, leading to the development of coordinating complexes such as the T-Cog and the so-called brain complex. This T-Cog, short for transformation cog, is specialized in sending signals towards all other Zoid complexes, giving them instructions to change position in determinate ways following a mental blueprint until the transformer has reached its desired form. Given the complexity of this process, most transformers will limit themselves to changing between their main form, which allows them to more freely communicate and interact with their environment, and a camouflage form, also known as an alt mode. However, depending on factors like biological disposition, enhanced T-Cog complexes, or training, some transformers are capable of changing into 2, 3, or even 6 alt modes. Damage to this Zoid complex will, of course, cause the transformation process to be heavily hindered or slowed down, in severe cases preventing a Cybertronian from changing at all. While all transformers, bearing certain disorders, are biologically capable of transforming from birth, it is still a process that requires some learning and practice for the T-Cog to perform the process flawlessly, as well as the scanning or memorizing of an object, being, or artificial creation present in their environment, with all of its coloration and details, to be recorded by their T-Cog and used as an alt mode. Culturally speaking, the first time a transformer scans an alt mode is considered to be a very important moment in its life. The other part of this system is the brain Zoid complex, similar to, but much more advanced than the T-Cog. While most Zoids conforming a transformer possess a certain degree of sensitivity and the capacity to autonomously react to the environment, the evolution of brain Zoid complexes allowed these organisms to hold and process information that helped them better sense their environment, navigate the world, and react to it in a coordinated manner, thus giving them a great edge in competing against other colonies. This enhanced capability to process information is also what led to modern Cybertronian civilization. The accumulation of memories and experiences, as well as relations between colonies, led to the development of different ways to deal with external stimuli and different personalities and preferences, thus turning Zoid colonies into true individual beings. Due to the nature of these Zoids as organisms capable of surviving on their own, the brain Zoids can be isolated and even transplanted, partially or as a whole, to other bodies, still retaining their memories. Interestingly, the capacity of these Zoids for sharing information between them by connecting to each other has allowed information to be copied into entirely different complexes, creating backups of entire minds. However, despite the apt comparison to machinery, the mind and body of a Cybertronian have more in common with those of living beings than with machines. Having developed in a world with similarly metallic organisms, many species have evolved as pathogens or parasites, and accumulated damage can lead to noticeable degeneration and, in time, death. This can, of course, also affect their brain Zoids, resulting in memory corruption as they age. As important as the brain Zoids are, the, so to speak, soul of a transformer resides in a different complex, known as the spark, the place where the energy that fuels the organism is produced. While they eat metal to gain biomass, the Cybertronian's main source of energy is a substance quite appropriately named as energon. This is a radioactive substance ubiquitous to Cybertron's environments, which kickstarts their internal energy production system. Being radioactive, Energon will release many particles through decay, but mostly antiprotons and positrons, held inside the spark through electromagnetic forces. These molecules will be released from the electromagnetic field to interact with metals they have consumed, forming photons, whose electromagnetic charge powers their body. Aside from being used to power their bodies, Energon channeled and focused into appropriately adapted Zoids can be used as short and long-range weaponry, or to strengthen their natural armor by creating a magnetic field capable of repelling metal particles, such as the ones in a bullet or a fist. In the absence of Energon, artificial substitutes that adequately reflect the properties of natural Energon can be made, but substances already present in their environment, including non-radioactive materials, can be used as well. That said, their inherently different properties can lead to less than desirable results. While working to a certain degree, energy production will be much less efficient, and what energy is available will be reserved for vital functions, leaving less energy available for higher cognitive functions. The effects of this are comparable to consumption of certain substances in human beings. Similar to other species we've met during our research, these organisms are genderless and have a completely asexual method of reproduction. Cybertronians will gain biomass and energon all throughout their lives, but sometimes they will accumulate enough of a surplus to allow them to enter a reproductive stage. At this point, every single Zoid that makes up the body of the Transformer will bud at once, a process that is carefully coordinated through electric signals. These buds will separate from their parental Zoids and organize according to the basic structural memory imprinted into them, forming into complexes that are themselves organized by the brain and TCOG complexes. While it will already be arranged in its adult form, the newly formed Cybertronian will begin its life as a semi-liquid, malleable protoform, until its individual Zoids mature into their final functions, reaching a form that is, in essence, identical to that of its parental Cybertronian, and fully independent soon after being born. Lacking anything resembling a childhood, as well as a need for parental care, the Cybertronian culture has no concept of family ties, with newly born individuals freely associating into whatever groups they deem fit. Cybertronians present a great array of variation in body types and anatomical features, even while being functionally identical and with the Zoids of any of these variants being equally compatible with those of another. This variation results from a mix of natural genetic variation, adaptations to different conditions, and cultural or personal preferences. On a natural level, this has led to the formation of specialists with greater control of their camouflage, which allows them to much more convincingly copy certain materials, textures, or structures. There also exist colossal transformers, or, in contrast, tiny ones that have reduced their total complexity for the sake of energy efficiency. Some smaller Cybertronians have even become capable of bonding symbiotically with others to help them better process energy, giving them extra weaponry, or improving their perception and processing brain power. The coordination of the Zoids of different individuals, however, is taken to the extreme with combiners, huge Cybertronians formed from the bodies of many individuals blending together. And as amazing as this physical combination is, the most fascinating part of this process is the combination and cooperation of all the participants' brain Zoid complexes, forming an entirely new consciousness capable of handling all the combined Zoids. In modern times, this variation is further increased by artificial alterations and the addition of Zoid complexes to the Cybertronian's body, which can give them extra appendages or entirely novel structures not present before, such as weaponry or jet propulsion Zoids, also changing the capabilities of its alt mode. This can also lead to the removal and replacement of Zoid complexes, which has at times been used as a punishment by Cybertronian society. Due to the way they reproduce, even artificial modifications to a Cybertronian's body will remain once it bots into a new organism. And that's it for Speculative Biology look into Transformers. Andrew and I worked on the concept for this one by centering on the idea of Zoids, a reference to how the Transformers from the live-action movies would break apart into a bunch of little pieces as they rearranged, and that became a guiding principle behind their design and biology, including the way they reproduce, referencing their canon protoforms, the development of specific functions from a basal unit, and also gave me some leeway to play with its anatomy while also allowing its body parts to be reconnected in different ways as the Transformer transforms. The use of Zoids also allowed me to give it a camouflage based on tons of tiny surfaces, thus making it capable of changing color and shape as needed to reference the transformation capabilities of these robots, as their alt mode is notoriously capable of being altered as the Transformers scan different vehicles or objects. I really hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I know tons of you have waited to see these awesome robots make their way to the channel, so here's a big thank you to everyone who asked for it. I'm very glad to finally be bringing it to the channel. And, of course, huge thanks to our patrons and channel members for their support, and especially to Andrew for commissioning it and working with me on bringing it to life. Remember, you too can join in if you want to support our channel, and you get some nice bonuses too, like seeing all of our creatures and videos ahead of time, helping mold them into shape, or even commissioning your own episode. Or you can also like, subscribe, or write a comment down there telling me any type of creature you would like me to give the Spec Evo treatment in the show. Any of those really help the channel a lot. Thank you all for watching, and see you next time on the Speculative Wildlife Research Center.